In this video, we'll create a simple low to mid fidelity wireframe using Adobe XD. We'll apply some really basic layout rules like setting up grids, using the alignment tools, and distributing space for page elements. We'll also use basic shapes as placeholder elements for our wireframe while applying color and labeling our page elements with XD's text tools. After completing our wireframe in XD, we can duplicate our layout and use it as a foundation to build our mockups for desktop and responsive layouts. If you'd like to follow along with this tutorial, download the exercise files and use the supplied assets in the folder. All right, let's get started. Okay, so let's launch Adobe XD. Let's choose Web from the artboard options at the top. We can always expand the artboard and its height later on if we need to. Now that we have our artboard created, let's select the artboard by clicking once on the artboard's name and renaming it. I'll name mine Wireframe Desktop. We can also apply our grids over in the property menu on the right-hand side while we're here. I'll select the layout option at the bottom and choose my grid settings for my layout. If your layout has to fit a lot of elements along the horizontal axis, use more grid lines. If you don't have a lot, then use less grid lines. You could choose a grid of either 12 columns, 16, or 24. I'll choose 16. Next, I'll apply my gutter spacing to make sure I have equal spacing between elements, and they will also be aligned. So now that our layout is set up, we can use our basic shapes to draw and position some placeholder elements for our page. When placing your elements or objects on the page, start drawing from the left-hand side of the grid column and end on the right-hand side of a column. Never end on the left and place your object in between the gutter. This will negate your spacing and make your layout inconsistent. So this example I'm building is based on the basic redesign I've sketched out of Zara's e-commerce website. The first thing I'll create is a placeholder for the logo using my rectangle tool, and then I'll label it using my text tool. We want to stay away from using color in our wireframe, so let's go ahead and use grayscale for our placeholders and text. Now I'll select both objects and align them to the center of each element using the alignment panel. Next, let's create the navigation items using our text tool. Type out each item in separate text frames, and then we can distribute them evenly using our distribute panel at the top of the control panel. We can hold Option and drag to copy each text element. Next, we can create a placeholder for the feature products or sale items. I'm going to make my image placeholder full width and give it a height of 480 pixels. In the property panel, let's remove the border by choosing No Fill, which is transparent. I'll now apply my style rules that I created for my headings and buttons in my style guide. So for my title, I have Avenir Medium at 64 pixels. and I'll change it to be uppercase and also adjust my line height. Next, my subheading is using an H4, which is Century Standard Light Italic, and that's also going to be capitalized. After laying out the text for my feature image, I'll create a button using the rectangle tool, or I'll copy over my button style and edit the call to action. I'll label this New Arrivals. I'll also add an arrow icon to my button using the UI plugin, Icons for Design. So I'll go to my plugin and search for arrows. If you don't have this plugin installed, click on the plugin icon at the bottom left corner of the interface and click on the plus sign. Go to Browse and search for Icons for Design and install. And now I'll place my icon and recolor it based on my style guide rules. I'll do a quick save at the moment by pressing Command S and save this to my project folder. Now we can move on to laying out the placeholders for our product categories on the home page. Again, we can use basic shapes to create image placeholders and align them to our grid. Remember to start from the left-hand side of one column and end on the right-hand side of another. We can create one object and hold Option plus Shift to copy and drag our elements on the page. We can also start to label each placeholder or include any content that belongs to each element. Remember, use real content. Try not to use lorem ipsum and apply your style guide rules that you made for your typographic system. Use the appropriate fonts, weights, sizes, colors, styles, and spacing so that you get a realistic view of how your layout will look in the end. Align your objects as you go and try to make one component and modify its content to be more efficient with your workflow. Lastly, I'll start to lay out the footer elements that need to be included in my wireframe. I'll place the remaining parts of the landing page and adjust any objects that need alignment or styling before I move on to creating a layout for my responsive layout. Continue to use your style guide to dictate the layout and stick to your type system rules. If you find that you need to adjust and accommodate for any changes in the design, go back and adjust these within your style guide. Remember, the goal is consistency, and having a set structure and rules for your type system is what we're trying to achieve. Okay, so now that we've applied some basic layout rules and you're familiar with the tools for wireframing a simple layout, try and apply these techniques to your own. You can duplicate your artboard by selecting it by its title and pressing Command-D or Control-D if you're on a PC. You also want to create responsive versions and create wireframes for all the other page designs and layouts you need. Next up, we'll look at how to take your existing wireframe and build a mock-up of your website while applying images, color, and other UI elements from our typographic system style guide. I hope you all enjoyed this quick tutorial on creating a simple wireframe using Adobe XD. Feel free to leave comments and questions on our course Padlet. The link is in the description below. Also, leave a like on this video if you found it helpful and share it with others who might find it useful.